the Headway Upper Intermediate book, and here we've got reading and speaking. And the title of the story that we're going to be looking at is The Blind Assassin. What do you think that might say to you, Lou? Do you think, what kind of ideas does it conjure up in your mind? The Blind Assassin.
Well, I think of an assassin as someone who's capable of killing other people.
Right.
A blind assassin would be unable to kill people effectively, so, I mean, it just seems like it's something contradicting itself.
Okay, thank you for that. Here we have the first part of the story. It's like chapter 1. Could you read this first paragraph for us, please, Lou?
10 days after the war ended, my sister Laura drove a car up a bridge. The bridge was being repaired. She went right through the danger sign. The car fell 100 feet into the ravine, smashing through the treetops feathery with new leaves, then burst into flames and rolled down into the shallow creek at the bottom. Chunks of the bridge fell on top of it. Nothing much was left of her but charred smithereens.
Thank you. When did the writer's sister drive a car off a bridge?
10 days after the war ended.
10 days after the war ended. It says here the car fell 100 feet into the ravine. What is a ravine, Lou?
A ravine is like a very steep hole, right? Or a very steep crevasse.
Yes. Could it possibly be filled with water, do you think?
It could be.
Mm-hmm. And what does it mean? Treetops feathery with new leaves. Feathery. What do they mean?
It's saying that there are a lot of new leaves on the treetops.
Okay.
The treetops may look soft from far away.
Here we have burst into flames. What does it mean, burst?
I would say it would be engulfed into flames very quickly.
Okay, engulfed in flames very quickly. Here it says rolled down. What's the writer talking about when he says rolled down?
The car was rolling, right? Rolling over and over again.
Okay, so the car was rolling over like that. And it says it rolled into the shallow creek. What does that mean, Lou? Shallow creek.
Shallow creek would be water running across the land, but not in a deep crevasse, just in a very, very shallow crevasse.
Okay, so not much water, but there's water there, not very deep. And it says chunks of the bridge fell on top of it. Chunks. What does that mean, chunks?
Large pieces of the bridge fell.
Large pieces, yes. And what does it mean, charred?
Heavily burned.
And here it says heavily burned smithereens. So what does that mean? Charred smithereens.
Pieces of it, that's it.
Okay. Pieces that just went everywhere. That's very good. Mr. Lou, could you read the first paragraph on this page, please?
I was informed of the accident by a policeman. The car was mine, and they traced the license. His tone was respectful. No doubt he recognized Richard's name. He and the tires may have caught on a streetcar track where the brakes may have failed, but he also felt bound to inform me that 2 witnesses, a retired lawyer and a bank teller, dependable people, had claimed to have seen the whole thing. They had said Laura had turned the car sharply and deliberately and plunged off the bridge with no more fuss than stepping off the curb. They noticed her hands on the wheel because of the white gloves she'd been wearing.
Thank you for that. Informed. I was informed. What does that mean? Informed.
They told you about it.
They told you about it, yes. Who informed the writer?
The police officer.
The police officer, yes. They'd, as in they had, traced the license. What does that mean, traced the license?
They looked at the numbers on the license plate, and then they looked at the official records as to who the car belonged to based on the numbers on the plate.
His tone was respectful. What does it mean, his tone?
The way he spoke to you.
The way he spoke, yes, that's right. It says, no doubt he recognised Richard's name. Recognised. What does that mean?
He knew Richard's name.
Okay, yes. He'd heard of the name, he knew the name. It says here, the brakes may have failed. What does that tell us?
The brakes weren't working.
The brakes weren't working. And it's talking about two witnesses. What does that mean, two witnesses?
Two people who saw what happened.
People who saw what happened. What's a lawyer? What's that? What's a lawyer?
A person who argues cases in courts.
Mm-hmm. And what is a bank teller? A bank teller.
Person who accepts money at a bank and adds it to a person's account, or takes money out of a person's account in a bank and gives it to the person.
Okay, thank you. What does the word dependable mean? Dependable.
People who can generally be believed.
Oh yes, honest people, yes. Laura, that's the woman, the driver, Laura had turned the car sharply. What does that mean, sharply?
Very quickly.
Very quickly, yes. What was she wearing on her hands?
White gloves.
White gloves, yes. That's what they noticed. They noticed her turn sharply, as if on purpose, deliberately. That's what they noticed. Could you read the next paragraph, please, Lou?
It wasn't the brakes, I thought. She had her reasons. Not that they were the same as anybody else's reasons. She was completely ruthless in that way.
And please continue.
I suppose you want somebody to identify her, I said. I'll come down as soon as I can. I could hear the calmness of my own voice as if from a distance. In reality, I could barely get the words out. My mouth was numb, my entire face was rigid with pain. I felt as if I'd been to the dentist. I was furious with Laura for what she'd done, but also with the policeman for implying that she'd done it. A hot wind was blowing around my head, the strands of my hair lifting and swirling in it like ink spilled in water.
Okay. It wasn't the brakes, I thought. She had her reasons. Reasons? What does that tell us? Her reasons.
Reasons in this context would be the purposes behind her actions.
The purposes behind her actions, yes. It says here she was completely ruthless. What does that mean? Completely ruthless.
She would do anything to achieve given ends.
Okay. I could barely get the words out. What does that mean in relation to this word barely? I could barely get the words out.
He's saying that he was very upset, like so upset that he could hardly talk.
So upset he could hardly talk, couldn't speak. And then it talks about being numb, there's no feeling. But then it says, my entire face was rigid with pain. Rigid with pain. What does that mean, Lou?
I think once again he's saying that he was extremely upset with the circumstances, and he was so upset that he could barely move his face, and his face was very painful.
Yes. What did it feel like to him?
Just extremely painful. He
Yes.
didn't even want to move his face at all.
Okay. And what does furious mean? I was furious with Laura. Furious. What does that mean?
He is saying that he was unhappy with her, extremely unhappy with her.
Okay.
Angry.
Angry, yes, very angry. And it says, the strands of my hair. Strands of hair, what's that?
Just the individual pieces of his hair.
Yes. I don't have that problem.
I'm afraid there'll be an inquest, Mrs. Griffin, he said. Naturally, I said, but it was an accident. My sister was never a good driver. I could picture the smooth oval of Laura's face, her neatly pinned chignon, the dress she would have been wearing, a blue or steel gray or hospital quarter green penitential colors, less like something she'd chosen to put on than like something she'd been locked up in. Her solemn half smile, the amazed lift of her eyebrows, as if they were admiring the view.
Okay.
What's a neatly pinned chignon?
It's her thing, what she's wearing.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm afraid there will be an inquest. What's an inquest?
Investigation
Into what?
into what happened with this car going off the bridge.
She appears to have driven the car off the bridge on purpose,
Right.
like an act of suicide to kill herself, yeah. But he's saying, well, my sister was not really a good driver. Might not have been, she might have, Okay. Yeah, the neatly pinned chignon is a type of dress, because here, we know that, because it says the dress she would have been wearing. And it was a blue dress or a steel grey colour. But then he says the dress is not really that nice. It's like something somebody might wear if they worked in a hospital or even a prison. So we have in America, the prison, the penitentiary. So he describes his sister's dress as having penitential colours. Then it says, her solemn half smile. What does solemn mean, Gregory? Lou?
Not a very happy half smile, just maybe she feels as though she should smile, so she kind of does a half smile, but she's not a very happy person.
Yeah, she's pretending to be happy, but she's not. She's actually very, very unhappy.
Right.
What's it when someone's being locked up? What does that mean, to be locked up?
She doesn't really want to be wearing that. She doesn't really want to be looking that way. She just has to.
Yeah, in Britain, if someone's locked up, what we would say is like they've been in prison, like a penitentiary. It's something she would wear it looked like something she'd wear if she'd been locked up in a prison. A very, very ugly looking dress she was wearing. But she had white gloves, and she turned very fast and went straight over. She was washing her hands of me. Ah, that's what this gesture is. Pontius Pilate, the leader of the Romans, he was washing his hands of Jesus. And they're putting this same kind of context into here. She was washing her hands of her brother. I don't need you anymore. I'm off. I'm away from all of you. So if you'd like to read this part here, Lou.
What had she been thinking of as the car sailed off the bridge, then hung suspended in the afternoon sunlight, glinting like a dragonfly for that one instant of held breath before the plummet? Of Alex, of Richard, of bad faith, of our father and his wreckage, of God perhaps, or a fatal triangular bargain, or of the track of cheap school exercise books that she must have hidden that very morning in the bureau drawer before I kept my stockings, knowing I would be the one to find them.
Yes. So therefore, we now know the writer is female. Because stockings are something women wear. Although an old-fashioned word for stockings was actually high socks. So it could be socks. Anyway, let's have a look at this. The car sailed off the bridge. Sailed off. What does that mean, that phrase?
It traveled off of the bridge rather quickly, I suppose.
Yes, it went over. And it says that it then hung suspended. Hung suspended. What does that mean?
This looks like someone who's just trying to show off their writing ability and not doing a very good job, honestly. I mean, you're trying to say that a car sailed off of a bridge and then hung suspended before it fell?
Yeah, but only for 1 second.
Yeah.
She drove, and then for 1 second, it's as if it got stuck, and then it went.
Weird.
Yeah. Now, what does it mean? Glinting. Glinting.
Glinting like a dragonfly? I mean, is that flying around quickly or what?
Well, we've got the afternoon sunlight, and then there's this little glint from the sun onto the car.
Okay.
Like dragonflies are these insects with big wings. They hover like that on the water, and the sunlight glints off of their wings, and their wings then appear to be different colours.
Okay.
What does plummet mean? Plummet.
Fall quickly.
Yes. And the stack of cheap school exercise books. The stack. What does that mean, the stack?
A large number that are in one pile.
A large number in one pile. There you have your stack of books. Could you read the next paragraph, please, Lou?
When the policeman had gone, I went upstairs to change. To visit the morgue, I would need gloves and a hat with a veil. Something to cover the eyes. There might be reporters. I would have to call a taxi. Also, I would warn Richard at his office who would wish to have a statement of grief prepared. I went into my dressing room. I would need black and a handkerchief.
The writer says, I went upstairs to change. What does that mean, to change?
Put on different clothes.
To put on different clothes. What is the morgue? The morgue.
The morgue, I believe, is a place where they bring dead bodies.
Yes, that's where they bring dead bodies after accidents. You have like the hospital morgue. And he says I would need gloves and a hat with a veil. What's a hat with a veil? It's a woman. It's obviously a woman.
The hat is something that you put on top of your head, and the veil would cover this part of your face. It would be like cloth that would hang down from the hat.
So, when someone has died, after several days they would have a funeral. And at the funeral, this is where they put the dead body into the ground. The relatives, especially if it's a woman, she might wear a hat with a veil. So the veil would cover the rest of her face. A black hat, and then down here, there would be a black veil. In this particular case, it actually says to cover the eyes. So the hat would be here, the veil would go all the way down. She would still be able to see, but the veil would in fact cover the eyes. It says there might be reporters. So what are reporters?
Journalists.
Journalists, people reporting the news, yeah. She says, I ought to warn Richard. What does it mean to warn somebody?
To make him aware that something bad may happen.
Yes, to make him aware of something. I opened the drawer. What's a drawer? What's that?
A drawer is a compartment in a cupboard or a dresser where you can put items like clothes and books.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we would have for example, a desk, and in the desk there might be a square drawer. You open the drawer, put your notebook in the drawer, close the drawer, and continue writing on your desk. Here it says, my teeth were chattering. What does it mean, my teeth were chattering?
They were moving very, very quickly.
They were moving,
Was
yes.
upset or cold.
Yeah, oh yeah, in the cold weather, our teeth can move very quickly. You go, that's teeth chattering. Could you read the next part?
Out of the drawers of the notebooks, I undid the crisscross of kitchen string that tied them together. I noticed that my teeth were chattering, that I was cold all over. I must be in shock. I was excited. What I remembered then was Renee from when we were little. It was Renee who'd done the bandaging of scrapes and cuts and minor injuries. Mother might be resting or doing good deeds elsewhere, but Renee was always there. She'd scoop us up and sit us on the white enamel kitchen table alongside the pie dough she was rolling out, or the chicken she was cutting up, or the fish she was gutting, and give us a lump of brown sugar to get us to close our mouths. Tell us what hurt, she'd say. Stop howling, just calm down and show me where.
Okay, what does it mean to be in shock?
To be extremely surprised, or to have a medical problem where you've lost a lot of blood, or you're extremely cold and your body reacts in a very strong way to it.
Yeah, so when somebody is in shock, they can't get their thoughts together. They're really, and even the cold weather, that's another meaning. The cold weather can put the body into shock. It affects the body very badly. So, who do you think is Renee? Who is this Renee woman?
Sounds like maybe someone who worked for the family, who was cooking food and taking care of the kids, like some kind of governess or maid or something of that nature.
Yes. So it looks like Renee was possibly a children's nanny or a maid or something like that. And she remembers that when she was a little girl, this woman, Renee, would put bandages on her, and if she fell over, scraped her knee. What are minor injuries? Minor injuries.
Minor injury would be like a small cut or a small abrasion, nothing life-threatening, nothing that would lead to any larger ailments. I mean, nothing that would cause you to bleed to death if you didn't get stitches right away.
Yes.
Like that.
So a small abrasion or a little cut, that's a minor injury. It says here, mother might be resting or doing good deeds. What does that mean, good deeds?
Something helping other people, doing volunteer work, or working with volunteer organizations, maybe donating money to different charities, things of that nature.
Okay, so doing good things for other people, that's good deeds. It says she'd, as in she would, scoop us up. What does that mean? She'd scoop us up.
They'll pick us up quickly.
Yes, she would go in and pick them up. Oh, my baby, like that. And talks about the kitchen table made of white enamel, and alongside the pie dough. What does it mean, the pie dough?
It's like the ingredients that form up the bottom part of a pie.
Yes, the ingredients that form the bottom part of the pie. That's the dough. You would get some flour and some water. Some people use eggs and milk, and they mix them all up, and then you get this dough, which forms the base of the pie. And then you put your apple, if it's an apple pie, pieces of apple, and you then bring the dough up, and you put it in the oven for 45 minutes and take it out, and it would be cooked, maybe 45 minutes too long, maybe 20 minutes. You have to keep an eye on it. You have to keep watching, and it will cook, and the dough will then form the pastry of your apple pie. So this woman, Renee, would pick the children up, sit them on the kitchen table, and she's been making a pie. She's got the dough there, which she's been rolling. And this is what this woman now, is what she recalls, what she remembers from when she was a child. And she also says, or the chicken she was cutting up. Maybe she was cutting up some chicken, preparing a chicken dinner. And then it talks about fish. If she was gutting a fish, that's to cut the fish open and remove the innards of the fish. That's to gut the fish, is to take out the insides of the fish. That's this word here. Where did I find it? Here. Gutting. That's cutting the fish, taking the insides out of the fish. A lump, and then she would give them a lump of brown sugar. A lump is a small piece of sugar, just a small piece. She would do this to get the girl, who's now the woman, to get her close to her. She wanted her close to her. And then she would say, "Where does it hurt? Have some sugar. Where does it hurt? Just here? Or you fell over? I'll put a bandage around it for you." And then she'd say, "Stop howling." What does howling mean, Lou?
Crying very loudly.
Yes, crying very loudly. And she would say, "Stop howling. Stop howling." And then she would say, "Just calm down. Calm down. And show me where. Show me where it hurts." So this sounds like a very caring maid or children's nanny. She's looking after the children very well. But some people can't tell where it hurts. They can't calm down. They can't ever stop howling. What do you think that final line is trying to tell us, Mr. Lou?
Some people don't have good control of their emotions.
Some people don't have good control of their emotions. Thank you for that. So, Mr. Lou, who do you think Laura is? Who is Laura?
Sounds like Laura is a wealthy person who was also having a psychological problem.
And what about Richard, Mrs. Griffin and Alex? How do you think that they are related?
I'm not sure. It's not too specific, is it?
I think Richard was the brother. Mrs. Griffin, possibly she's the woman from her childhood. Oh, I know, it's someone different. I don't know, actually. And Alex, who is this Alex? I think there is a relationship here. I'm sure that Richard, in some way, is her brother. Mrs. Griffin, not sure. Maybe a neighbour, I'm not sure. Chard, what does that go with? Yes. Let's see if this will actually work.
No, it doesn't work.
Oh, it doesn't work on that. Oh, it did work yesterday, but we've got a new system here. So, charred means badly burnt. If something's charred, it's badly burnt. You can also say badly burned, it's the same thing. What about smithereens? What does that give us a description of? Sorry?
Very small pieces.
Very small pieces. Smithereens are very small pieces. What is plunged?
Fell suddenly downwards.
Fell suddenly downwards. What is swirling? How do we describe swirling?
Turning and twisting.
Turning and twisting. Swirling, swirling, swirling. Suspended. Hung, yes. If something's suspended from something, it's hung from something. Often we have things suspended from the ceiling. Hung from the ceiling. In this particular case, it's talking about the car, which was suspended for 1 second before it actually went over the bridge. Chattering, what does that go with?
Knocking together teeth.
Knocking together, in particular teeth. as in that's chattering. Deeds.
Things people do.
Things people do. The things you do are your deeds. If you do good things, then these are good deeds. Okay? Scoop. What does that mean, scoop?
Lift quickly.
Lift quickly. When she used to scoop up the children, like that. And howling. What does that mean, howling?
Making a loud cry in pain.
Yes, making a loud cry in pain. There is a joke I can tell you now. Because a werewolf, well, not particularly a werewolf, but a wolf will make a howling sound. You have the moon in the background and you have the picture, you have the wolf, and he always goes, oh. So the joke is this. Well, let me explain. A werewolf is like half man, half wolf, covered in hair with big sharp teeth. Here's the joke. I used to be a werewolf, but I'm all right now. Oh, yeah, anyway. When is Iris calm? When is she calm?
I would have to go back to the passage to remind myself.
Okay. Let's see when she was calm. She says, I was informed of the accident by a policeman. The car was mine, and they'd traced the license. His tone was respectful. No doubt he recognised Richard's name. He said the tyres may have caught on a streetcar track, or the brakes may have failed. So he goes on to talk about the accident. She says,
I suppose you want someone to identify her, welcome that as soon as possible. And she says that her own voice was calm, but then she says, she talks about how upset she is. She says she could barely talk, her face was numb, or her face was visually pain, her mouth was numb.
so she was calm when she was speaking. She said, I could hear the calmness of my own voice. So inside she wasn't calm. But when the person was speaking to her, I presume it was the police officer, she was calm. She was very calm in her voice. Her voice was very calm. That's when she was calm in speaking. When is Iris nostalgic? When is Iris nostalgic?
One second, I want to look back at the passage.
What does nostalgic mean, Mr. Lou?
Thinking about the past and thinking about the
Yes,
past in a fond way.
yes, thinking about the past, yes. Wasn't she nostalgic when she was thinking about this housemaid? I suppose the housemaid could quite well have been Mrs. Griffin. Oh, Reenie. Was it Reenie? So she, oh, yeah, Reenie. So she was nostalgic when she was talking about Reenie. She was remembering how Reenie would scoop the children up if they'd fallen over and scraped their knees or elbows and had suffered minor injuries, and how Reenie would give her some sugar just so she could get close to her and ask her, where does it hurt? And stop howling. This was Iris being nostalgic. When is Iris very angry?
Very angry. She was furious about this car accident.
She was.
About, was it Laura driving a car off the bridge?
Yes. And when was Iris clear thinking?
Clear thinking. I'd want to go back to the passage again.
Perhaps when she was thinking about what she would need to wear. When was she cold and factual?
I would kind of want to look at the passage.
I think it's when she said, well, my sister was never a good driver. It's been very cold, isn't it? Very factual.
Cold, I mean, you don't know whether it's factual. She could have been trying to cover up the fact that her sister committed suicide. I mean, you don't really know because hear Iris's point of view. You don't actually know whether she's being factual or whether she's lying, right?
Hmm.
This is her own story.
Yeah.
There's no outside narrator saying whether Iris is being honest.
They'd said Laura had turned the car sharply and deliberately and plunged off the bridge with no more fuss than stepping off a curb. That sounds quite cold. What else? What evidence is there that Laura didn't care about people's feelings?
Well, with her saying things like she was never a good driver.
Actually, Laura is the driver.
Oh, sorry. Okay, wait a minute. Doesn't care about people's feelings. I mean, the act of committing suicide in and of itself is, well, it could be argued to be selfish. I mean, you're not thinking about what that will do to your family and your friends and how they'll feel. I mean, if she's doing that, then she's obviously not thinking about the impact it's going to have on Iris and the other people. She's also destroying a perfectly good car that could be sold or that could be used by someone else.
Okay. And what evidence is there that Laura felt guilty about something?
I'm going to look back in the passage for evidence of that.
That's fine. It wasn't the brakes, I thought. She had her reasons, not that they were ever the same as anybody else's reasons. She was completely ruthless in that way.
Being completely ruthless at the same time, feeling guilty about something is a bit strange.
The first chapter of this novel raises more questions than it answers. What has the author not told us? And what do you want to know about it?
Well, the author doesn't give us a lot of information about Laura. I mean, we know that she killed herself, but we don't have a lot of information about her life or why. We get a little bit of nostalgic information about childhood, but, I mean, it sounds pretty positive. It doesn't really give us a reason why she would want to kill herself. We do have some questionable things going on with this police officer saying, or the police officer saying that a lawyer and a bank teller said it looked like suicide, but then Iris saying she was just a really bad driver, so we have to wonder about the event itself.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Off the top of my head, that's what I heard.
Which do you think is true? Laura's notebooks are her childhood diaries, a record of a secret relationship, or a novel?
We don't really get a lot of information, do we? I mean, if they're notebooks, then I would probably think that they're either diaries or a record of a relationship. I mean, if the relationship is a secret, I don't know why somebody would want to write a notebook about it, but I suppose some people may want to do that. If they're a novel, I would think that a person would write a novel on a computer. I mean, I don't know what the time period is for this passage. This was pre-computer age.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would suppose if it were me, my notebooks would be a childhood diary. But we don't really know a whole lot about these characters. We don't really know what their motivations are or what they do. So,
Okay. And what do you think is true? Laura suffered because she was mentally ill, her mother died, or she had an unhappy love life?
I would say that a person who drives a car intentionally off of a bridge, if that's actually what she did, in front of witnesses, I would probably say that's mental health. A
Okay.
lot of people's mothers die, they don't kill themselves because their mother died. A lot of people have divorces or have personal problems with their love lives. They don't want to kill themselves because they had a divorce. So, I'll go with mental health.
Iris feels responsible for her sister's death. Iris feels that she never loved her husband.
Does she mention her husband at all?
I thought she
Responsible
did.
for her sister's death, I mean, she does say she was always a bad driver, so if Iris Angela did do something to her sister, she may want to cover that up by saying something like, well, she's a bad driver, so she just drove the car off of a bridge. I mean, it's possible that she feels responsible, she's trying to cover that up. But it does at times, I mean, this passage does make her look kind of cold and unfeeling,
Yes.
and even sometimes kind of angry.
Okay.
So, I can imagine never loving her husband could also be an issue.
Thank you for that. Thank you for attending today's demonstration lesson from the Upper Intermediate book. And I know you're going to continue to do really well with your English language studies. Thank you very much.